Hey, y'all, let me tell you about the wildest week of my life. The kind of week that starts with you just trying to survive a hospital stay and ends with you staring down a billionaire's lies in a courtroom. My name's Tasha Reynolds, a 31-year-old bookkeeper from Cleveland, Ohio, and I swear, I never thought I'd be the one to blow up a corporate empire. But here we are. It all started at 2:17 a.m. in room 508 of St. Luke's Medical Center, where I was recovering from a busted appendix, groggy from pain meds, pacing my room in a ratty old Cavs hoodie, when I heard voices, cold and sharp, slithering through the air vent above my bed. They're gonna call him brain dead by morning. One voice said, low, like he was reading a grocery list. No autopsy, quick cremation, and by then, it's ours. My heart stopped. I mean, I was doped up, sure, but I wasn't that doped up. Then another voice, panicked, hissed, shut up, someone's in there. I froze, my plastic water cup crumpling in my hand, splashing all over the linoleum. That's when I knew they heard me. I wasn't imagining this. These weren't doctors talking shop. They were planning a murder. And the name they dropped? Marcus Kane, tech titan, charity poster boy, the kind of guy whose face is on every Forbes cover. Worse, they were talking about his sister, Vanessa Kane, the polished COO of Kane Tech, pulling the strings to bury her own brother alive. I didn't think I just ran. My stitches screamed, blood seeping through my gown, but I bolted out of that room, barefoot, skidding down the hospital hallway. Behind me, footsteps, heavy, not nurse heavy, more like hired muscle heavy. There she is, one of them shouted. She heard everything. Then bang a gunshot, cracked the air. I screamed, ducked past a nurse's station, and slammed through a stairwell door. My side was on fire, my vision blurry, but I kept going, down one flight, then another, until I hit the basement laundry room. I collapsed behind a dryer, the hum of machines drowning out my ragged breathing. Blood soaked my hoodie, but I didn't care. I was alive. For now. Huddled there, shaking, I pulled out my phone and Googled Marcus Kane. The guy wasn't just rich, was building clean water systems in Flint, funding coding camps for kids like the ones I grew up with in Cleveland. And now his own sister was trying to erase him. Why? Money, power, ego, take your pick. But I couldn't just sit there. I scrolled until I found a name. Daniel Carter, Marcus's old friend, a lawyer with a rep for taking down corrupt CEOs. If anyone could help, it was him. So, at 4 a.m., bleeding and terrified, I called a rideshare and headed to Carter and Lee in downtown Cleveland. The driver kept glancing at me in the rear view. You okay, miss? He asked, probably seeing the blood on my hands. Long night, I mumbled, forcing a smile. When I got to the firm, the lobby was dead except for a janitor and a receptionist who looked at me like I'd crawled out of a horror flick. I need Daniel Carter, I said, voice cracking. It's about Marcus Kane. Her eyes narrowed, but when I whispered, they're trying to bury him alive, something in my face made her pick up the phone. 5 minutes later, I was in Carter's office, spilling everything: the vent, the voices, the gunshot, the plan to kill Marcus. He didn't blink, just listened, his eyes sharp but kind. You believe me? I asked, half expecting him to laugh me out the door. I'd be an idiot not to, he said, already dialing a toxicologist named Dr. Sarah Lynn. From there, it was a blur. Daniel got proof some experimental drug, CN-17, designed to mimic brain death. Vanessa had paid off a doctor, Nathan Holt, to slip it into Marcus's Ford during a routine checkup. They were banking on no one noticing until he was ashes. But I noticed, and now they knew it. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Stay quiet if you want to live. I deleted it, hands shaking, but I wasn't backing down. Daniel got a judge to issue an emergency order to stop Marcus's cremation, and we raced to a private funeral home in Akron where they'd stashed his body. When they opened the casket, my knees nearly gave out. Marcus was pale, still, like a wax figure, but Dr. Lynn checked his pulse and whispered, he's alive. I covered my mouth, tears burning. We'd made it. Barely. But Vanessa wasn't done. She was out there, spinning lies, painting me as some unhinged nobody chasing clout. She even leaked a grainy hospital video of me running, bleeding, looking like a mess, with a caption, "Who is Tasha Reynolds really?" They tried to say I was on psych meds, that I'd made it all up. It stung, you know? I've spent my life being invisible, bouncing from gig to gig, scraping by, always the girl who didn't matter. Now they were trying to erase me again. But Daniel, he just looked at me and said, "They're scared, Tasha. That's what desperation looks like." And he was right. The turning point came at Kane Tech's annual gala. Vanessa was up there, all crocodile tears, announcing herself as CEO to honor Marcus's legacy. Then the screen behind her flickered, and there he was, Marcus, awake, pale but alive, speaking from a hospital bed. "I wasn't sick," he said, voice steady. "I was poisoned. And I'm here because of Tasha Reynolds, a woman who risked everything to save a stranger." The room exploded. Vanessa's face went white as a sheet. "Brother," she stammered into the mic, "I'm so glad you're okay." But Marcus cut her off. "You said I wouldn't feel a thing, Vanessa." "I heard you." The crowd gasped. She stormed off stage, her perfect mask shattered. Vanessa disappeared that night, but we found her. Daniel, me, and a guy named Ortiz, a former cop, tracked her to a rundown cabin in the Pennsylvania woods. She stepped out, saw me, and sneered. "You think you won, little nobody?" I stepped closer, heart pounding but steady. "I didn't win," I said. "I just stopped you." Ortiz had her cuffed before she could blink. The headlines the next day? Brutal. Kane Tech heiress arrested for attempted murder. Justice was coming. The trial was a circus. Reporters camped outside the courthouse, screaming my name. I took the stand, looked Vanessa in the eye, and told the truth. I heard her say, "Make sure he doesn't wake up." I ran for my life to stop it. Her lawyer tried to tear me down, digging up my old therapy records, calling me unstable. I just laughed. Yeah, working 60-hour weeks for people who don't see you does mess with your head. The jury smirked. Vanessa got 30 years, no parole for 20. When the gavel dropped, I didn't cheer. I just breathed. Months later, Marcus and I started the Reynolds Kane Foundation to protect whistleblowers like me. We held our first event in a Cleveland community center, packed with people who'd been silenced: factory workers, nurses, teachers. Marcus looked at me backstage and said, "You did this." I shook my head. We did, but the real kicker came later. A woman named Ruth, a retired Kane Tech clerk, slipped me a folder proof of decades-old experiments on kids in Ohio's poorest towns, all buried by the Kane family. We exposed it, not for fame, but because those kids deserve to be remembered. Now, I'm standing in a field outside Cleveland, watching volunteers plant trees for those forgotten kids. Marcus is beside me, quieter now, his billionaire shine replaced by something real. We don't talk much, but we don't need to. The truth is growing here, like roots in the dirt. But here's the thing: some folks still call me a liar, say I stirred up trouble for nothing. Others say I'm a hero. I don't know about that. I just know I couldn't stay quiet. So what do you think? Was I right to speak up, or should I have walked away? Drop your thoughts below, and let's talk, because the truth doesn't just happen. It's built, one voice at a time.